All right, driving down the road. This is the sound the brakes make when you step on them. Yeah, so that ain't good. All right, got it pulled in. Got to lift it up. All right, all the mount points look good. I don't know why. All right, setting on the stops. All right, this is a main problem wheel. You'll see the rotor once I get it off, or get the tire off, I mean. Get the lock thing off first. Wow, that was on there. They're really not supposed to be that tight. See, there's a lot of brake dust on this wheel. All right, I don't know how well it comes across on camera, but there is a huge scored groove here. And there's actually, I can feel there's a matching one on the other side. So this rotor needs to be, at the very least, resurfaced. I'm just gonna replace it because I have new rotors that I got on Rock Auto. They were not terribly expensive. I think like 20 bucks a piece. So I'm just going to replace them. I could touch these up on the lathe, but the amount of time it would take me is not worth the $20 that it saves me. So, got to figure out how this stuff comes apart. Looks like you need a couple, I'm guessing 15mm wrenches, looks like, to get the caliper off. And I think that's maybe 17s to get the brake shoe cage off. 15. Ah, not a 15, 14. All right, just a short bolt. Interesting. So there must be a slide mechanism that those bolt into. Bolt. Now can this just pull off without a screwdriver? Oh, okay. I thought that's what was left of the pad, but no. I was like, wow, those really wore out. It's not quite that bad. But the pads are stuck in place. This is just like an outside piece. It sits on the pad. Hopefully I don't have to reuse this, but yeah, I'd say those pads are wore out. There's nothing left of them, just straight down to the steel. Looks like it actually rubbed up here. That's what was digging in, was the top side of the shoe. Over here, there's a tiny bit of pad left on this side, so they're a little bit uneven, but... All right, now I gotta get this other pad off. Oops. It's weird that this side has... So the pad looks like it's still here on this side. So I'm a little bit surprised that the rotor's chewed up on this side. Come on. Okay, that's odd. I've never had this much trouble getting a pad off. Wow. How is it even still attached? I'd say that these need to be cleaned up a little bit. So these clip pieces are still... I figured they'd be all bent up after I did that or something. But no, it was just jammed on that hard. So there's a lot of meat left on these. You see I destroyed that there, but there is a lot of meat left on these, and I don't really see any evidence why it would be chewing up this side, unless it chewed up this side in the past and somebody just put new pads on but they didn't fix that. That's weird. That is the first time I've ever had to beat off a pad with a hammer though. So I'm gonna guess 16 on this one. Nope. Bigger. 17. So this whole cage has to come off to get the rotor off. And it's bolted on with this bolt and this bolt. So. And that's tight as all. So. Man. I think I'm gonna have to use the impact on that. Hopefully I can get it in there. I'm also gonna have to find a metric impact socket. Luckily Tom had one. And I can't get it on because the control arm's in the way. And I can't get that one on. Can I get this one on? That one worked. This one I can't get on. This control arm is right in my way, so I can't get it on there. I do have my 1/2-inch breaker bar. I don't really like torquing on a car when it's on a lift like this. Oh, you know what? There we go. Now I can get the impact on it. That would have been smart. Just turn the wheel. There we go. So this is a 2018, and it's got 60,000 miles on it. And this is what cars just look like in New York when it's not a very old car, and it doesn't have a lot of miles, but it's rusty. Road salt should be illegal. It does so much damage to vehicles and the roads. Like, if you just added up how much money it costs society to use road salt, they would ban it immediately. But nobody ever looks at that. Not to mention, it's not good for the environment. Which, ironically, not being good for the environment might be the thing that actually gets it banned. The fact that it's terrible monetarily, you would think would be the reason, but nobody, it's not something people care about. See, and this is seized on there here. I'm gonna have to beat that off with a hammer. See, this is in my brother's toolbox. It looks familiar. And I don't know where mine is, so I'm wondering if this is my hammer. Could be his, I don't know. It's just a Harbor Freight brass hammer, but... Should have put it in neutral. That hurt. This is also wonderful for the wheel bearings. But there's nothing you could do about it. Like, you got to get it off. Well, you know what? Is this thing actually screwed on? Maybe it is. Okay, this time maybe there was something I could do about it. There's a screw right here. Right there. Which I didn't notice till just now. I don't know why that's there, but maybe these rotors are screwed on, which is very odd. I've never seen that before, but let's try breaking it free. This is a ratcheting screwdriver. I hope it can take the abuse I'm about to give it. Oh man, it didn't even take any abuse. Oh, are you kidding me? I'm sitting here beating it on it with a hammer like an idiot. And it was. There's this retaining screw. So that was a retaining screw, which this is a terrible idea. If this thing rusts, you're never getting your rotor off. I don't know why you would need this. The lug nuts hold on the rotor. I've never seen that before, but there it is. This did have jack points actually on this rotor. I should have paid attention. I definitely should have looked before beating it on with a hammer, because that is bad for the bearings. But right here, these are threaded holes. I thought they were not, but they are. So, in fact, they might be the same threads as this. No, that's smaller. But these are threaded holes, so what you can do is you thread bolts into there and basically turn this thing into a puller to pull itself off. But yeah, so that's the rotor. It's crunchy. And now I can show you the other side. The other side's got grooves in it. And I kind of feel like this was like this. I mean, it looks like it was. And they just put new pads on it anyways, which is weird. But I am not the last person to put brakes on this. In fact, I think the dealer put brakes. I think the last person to put front brakes on this was the dealer when Bridget bought it, which was in 2020, I think. Maybe 20. Might have been 2019. 2019 or 2020 is when she bought this car. It already had 20,000 miles on it. The dealer put all new brakes and everything on it. And this is how they lasted 40,000 miles, so. All right, this one's got 2 screw holes, which is interesting because I only have 1 screw. And I don't think they gave me new ones, so I guess I'm just putting in 1. It is easy to put in another one of these, so maybe I'll order it. There is a hole machined in, so there's a threaded hole machined in the hub for this other one, but I don't have a screw for it. And I'm sure I don't have any here because they're metric. All right, shiny new rotor. Now we just gotta figure out what we're gonna do about the pads and slap it back together. Okay, so these are the old cages, and they did give me some shiny new retainers. So I'm going to put these on because I think the retainers being gummed up is what caused some of our problems. So I'm going to swap those out, and then I'll throw the pads in here, and we'll put it back together. All right, there we are with the shiny new retainers on. All right, and there we are with our brake pads on. It was actually quite difficult to get these in here to have them not slide all the way through, but they do slide very freely on the retainers now, which is good. That's what you want. So they're ready to go on. Cannot find the threads. There we go. Click. Can I do this in a way where the camera can see it? No. Okay. So I didn't break the lines free at all. I just pushed the piston back with the C-clamp. So I do not have to bleed the brakes, which is nice. Click. Click. Now they should have no problem moving. Alright, so that was really simple and straightforward. I'm going to do the other side off camera because you don't need to see it twice. But we're going to put the, we're putting winter tires on this. So I'm not going to put the same wheel back on. So on winter tires, it does matter which direction you put them on, at least on most brands. So you can see that it's pointed towards the camera right now there. That pointed forward has to be on the, so that has to be pointed towards the front of the car on the top of the tire. It also says on the tire here, rotation, this direction. So that's when you're driving forward. These are some old rims off, I think an Accord. They're very old and they're kind of beat up now, but they're just for the winter tires. So I should clean them up, honestly, and maybe paint them because they're getting pretty crusty looking, but They do their job. When I put the lug nuts back on, I only put them to the #1 setting on my impact, and then I'll torque them by hand on the ground. And that's just because I can feel what torque they really need to be to. And with this thing, this will just over tighten them. There are actual torque specs for tires, but I've never in my life actually used a torque wrench. I can feel. I know how tight they're supposed to be, and I'm making that tight by hand. The #1 setting on my impact's really light, so it's not going to over torque them. All right. So that one's all done. I'll probably show you one side of the back because it's different than the front. All right, this is the passenger side rear. I already did the brakes on all 3 other wheels. This is the last one. The rear brakes they turn out to be almost exactly the same as the fronts, but on the rear ones, I'm not replacing the pads. So I'm just going to pull the wheel off and get everything down, and then I'll show you where I'm at with it. All right, I don't know if you can see on camera, but these rotors are very worn. They're hollow in the middle, and that's why I'm replacing them. So I'm going to replace the rotors. The pads I'm actually leaving because there's a ton of meat left on them. They're probably only worn a quarter of their life worn away, so there's 3/4 life left. Pull this out. Oop. Hopefully I'm pulling this out. There we go. Almost stripped that. That would have been bad. I'm definitely going to never seize that when I put that back in. All right, let me pull the caliper and the cage for the brake pads off. I already got the pads off. You can see there's a ton of pad left. They're even, all wear is even. So those pads are staying on. I'm gonna just get this rotor off. I did take the screw out this time, but it's still stuck. There's a new rotor. Sometimes they put anti-rust stuff in the, like they spray the rotors with them. You want to get that stuff off because it ain't good for the brakes. It's a screw. Retaining screw with never seize on it. Alright, so this stuff just goes back on the way it came. I'll just shove that on real quick. Alright, there we are. New rotor on. I got the caliper and pads and everything back on. Everything's tightened down. Just gotta put the wheel back on. And then we'll be just ready to undercoat it, I think. All right, so we got all the brakes done and all the winter tires on the car. All right, so the next thing I need to do to this car is undercoat it. Now I have this fluid film sprayer that I bought. The way this works is you fill this canister up with fluid film. which I have 5 gallons of here. And you just hook this up to an air line and then you can spray it. And this is just a regular nozzle, so it sprays like a paint gun basically. So this is for like doing big areas. And then it's got 2 different hoses. This one's just an open end hose. So this thing's just going to shoot, I guess, a ton of stuff in wherever you point the hose. And this one has a 360 hose. So you stick this one up in your frame rails, and then you can coat the inside of your frame rails with it. Alright, you can see here that it's not really spraying all that well. The reason for that is that it got too cold. We were heating this stuff up on top of a space heater. I'm not exactly sure what temperature we got it up to, but it really needs to be pretty warm to work well. I'm guessing you want it like 100 to 110 degrees Fahrenheit, something like that, maybe even warmer. And when we were spraying this, it was well below freezing in the garage. So the stuff would cool off and then it wouldn't spray that well. I mean, it still worked, it was just slower with it thick like this. Alright, here's what it looks like when we're all done spraying. This whole piece was pretty rusty. It was rusty up in there. Yeah. Got it all pretty well covered. Alright, so I'm going to lower it down and lift it a little first. I don't know why it doesn't always do that, but you got to lift it a little to get it off the locks. And then you can unlock both the locks and then you can lower it down. I don't know why sometimes you kick on this motor and it doesn't kick on. I don't know if Tom doesn't have enough amperage running to it or something, but the motor doesn't always work when you want it to. Alright, I'm going to wrap this video up here. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and don't use road salt.